Is duckweed plaguing your tank? Well, it's plagued ours too. We've tried everything between netting it out, sticking a goldfish in the tank to eat it, as well as burning it with a blowtorch. Newsflash, none of it works. We still have duckweed. So how do we solve our duckweed problem? Well, we used a blowtorch. No, seriously, we actually used a plastic bottle. So stay tuned for the rest of this video to check out how we turn this plastic bottle into the ultimate duckweed destroyer. Alright guys, so a couple weeks ago I posted a video up on our Instagram account showing off how this thing kind of works and what it's doing, but I didn't go into detail of how it works and what it does and kind of how you make it. So I wanted to make this video demonstrating it. However, I didn't come up with this idea. I actually watched a video that Joey, the king of DIY, if you're not familiar with him, there should be like a link somewhere up top and in the description. You could go over to his channel, check out the video that he did on building a surface skimmer, because that's essentially what this is. It's skimming the surface of the water to remove the duckweed or a surface film or any other type of plant that may be floating that you don't want. This can kind of remove it as long as it's small enough to fit between what we're going to do. So he came up with this idea. I was like, you know what, let me try this, see what happens, and it actually works pretty well, and I have to say I have good results with it. So I wanted to bring it to you guys because so many people are anti-duckweed, they can't get rid of it, it's plaguing them. I figured, hey, this is a good solution for those of you with a moderately sized tank. This won't work on, say, a nano tank. I wouldn't suggest it for like a 10-gallon tank because it's going to blow everything all over the place. You need this specific power head, and it's actually rated for a larger tank. So I would say anything probably about 30 gallons and higher, this will work great for. But with the smaller tanks, you could actually just use a net and scoop out all the duckweed without any problem. So I don't see you needing this solution opposed to just using a net. So let's get into how this is made. So these are all the items that you're going to need to build this. You're going to need a thing of filter floss. It doesn't need to be a huge bag like this. A small bag will do, but you can find these in the description or most of the time at your local fish store. They will usually sell this. You could also find it at a craft store. Just look for polyfill, no additives, nothing that says any sort of mildew preventative or fire retardant or anything like that. You want a water bottle. Doesn't need to be this exact shape or size, although I find that the Poland Spring bottle works the best because it's a little flexible. But if you don't like how flexible that is, this is just a regular soda bottle. You also have a good pair of sharp scissors. You're going to need that to cut through the bottle. And you're going to need this specific power head. The reason why you're going to need this specific power head is because this little pre-filter thing fits perfectly inside of the water bottle cap. Without this, you would really need to rig it a certain way, and that's why you need this specific model, because it has that particular thing. Alright, so how do you form this? Well, first things first, you're going to take off the cap of your water bottle. You don't need this anymore. Make sure it's rinsed thoroughly through. I actually see a little more liquid in that. Dump that out. Okay. So now, it doesn't really matter where you cut the bottle, but right here looks like a good spot. So you're going to cut there, and you're just going to go around and cut the bottom off of it. Okay. So now you can cut it down further, or you could leave it how this is. I'm going to kind of straighten up the edges here because there's a lot of weird sized pieces. And you just want to get rid of all those edges. The smoother it is, the better. Alright, so that looks pretty good. So then what you could do from here is you're going to make some incisions on the bottle. And you're going to make it, you don't want to make it any bigger than your smallest fish. So I'm going to make it about that big because if I was to put this in one of my tanks with smaller fish, I don't want them to get sucked into it. So you're just going to do this a couple times. Now you are going to need to make this big enough for the duckweed to go through, so you can't make them super small. And keep in mind, some duckweed can get like 3 or 4 leaves growing on it, so it will be a bit bigger. So you want to make sure that you have ample size for it to fit through, but as well as remaining small enough so that way your fish won't get sucked down into this thing. Okay, so the trick is you want to try and make sure they're as even as possible. This isn't a really good job of it, so I'm going to kind of trim them up just a bit more to get them a little bit more even. Otherwise the water that's flowing in here is going to be a bit awkward. Alright, all in all that looks good. So then next what do? You take off this and you're going to push this down into the lid.
Now put it on the lid. No, the lid. 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 The lid.
Opening. And you want to go about that far down so all the holes that are cut inside the screen are inside the bottle, right? So you're not pulling water from anywhere else. So now, like that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take a little polyfill. You don't need a lot. A little goes a long way. And you're just going to push it right down in there. That'll do, because what's going to happen is as the water pushes down on the polyfill, it actually gets sucked more towards the propeller, which will compact it more. And what's cool about this is actually going to also clean your water. So if you ever have any sort of small debris floating in your water, this is a great way to what they call polish it, and it's to remove all the small debris that you would find in it. So let's go set this up and I'm going to show you it at work. Alright, so we're going to plug her on in and see what she does.
The prophecy is true.
So as you can see, it's pretty much sucking in all the water. The duckweed is falling into it. It's getting trapped by the mesh or the polyfill, not allowing it to exit, and therefore it's expelling just water. Really simple solution. This is in a matter of 2 minutes. We already got about a quarter of the tank done. Now there is several tricks that you have to do. Is make sure you keep the water line kind of clean as far as plant debris, so dying leaves, any excess leaves that may just be floating there, or any sort of plant that has very tall leaves that could get accidentally trapped by this trick. It will prevent it from flowing as well as collecting the duckweed. So you need to kind of monitor it a little bit. But if you don't have any of those problems and you just want to get duckweed off the top of your tank, stick this in there, run it overnight. By morning, 90% of it will be out there, and then you'll just have to clean up, go around the edge of the water line where the water meets the glass, and kind of rub it down, because usually duckweed will stick to that area. Also, it's running at night, it's providing extra oxygen, which is a good thing, and this is completely fine. It is meant to actually, these can run dry almost. That's what MaxiJet says, they can run dry, so you never have to worry about them burning out. But keep in mind, you shouldn't keep this on all the time unless you really wanted to, because the water line will slowly drop, and then eventually the water line will be lower than the bottle if you don't do a continuous refill of your tank, and therefore it'll run dry, and hey, that might really shorten the life of this thing. But you could use this in multiple tanks if you wanted to. Some people are against using the same equipment in other tanks. Me, because I don't have any fish really in almost all my tanks except for a couple, I can move this around without any issues and not worry about it. Alrighty guys, thank you so much yet again for checking out another one of our videos. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and if you enjoyed this video or if it helped you at all with your duckweed problems, leave a like, and that way I know that it did in fact help. And if it didn't help, hit that dislike button. Either way, I still love you. Also, leave me a comment below letting me know what your solution is to duckweed, whether that be a goldfish, burning it with a blowtorch, just netting it out, or just leaving it be. Some people like duckweed, some people don't. Me, it really depends on the tank. If it's a tank that I don't mind it in, I don't really care, but if it's a tank that I'm trying to keep it out of, it really bothers me. So, yeah, that's about it guys. I will see you on the next one. Later.